Hello, my name is Jagan Loftus, and I'm studying diesel technology at Jones Technical Institute here in Jacksonville of the Sunshine State. Today I'm going to be explaining basic principles of brake systems, hydraulic and air powered. I'm looking over because I have a script, so that you know. To begin, the purpose of your brake systems is to efficiently stop your vehicle and keep it there till otherwise noted. Kind of obvious, still important. Now, the power needed to brake a vehicle is equal to that needed to make it go. The braking action is the use of a controlled force to slow or stop a moving vehicle. Friction is the base. It's what is all necessary to stop your vehicle. In this case, friction is caused when you apply your brakes, your brake pads and or shoes press up against the rotor and your vehicle is successfully stopped. So, to begin, we need to talk about construction of the brakes. There's external contracting and internal expanding. If you have basic knowledge of cut that out. Either way, all your brakes use a rotating and a non-rotating unit, i.e. your rotating unit is your drum and your non-rotating is your shoe or your pad. When a brake shoe or pad is applied against the outside of your rotating drum is known as external contracting. It's basically the opposite when it comes to external expanding, yin-yang, vice versa, all that. Now, comparing disc and drum brakes, they're both well designed and come with their fair share of advantages and disadvantages. Your main difference is weight and power needed to stop your vehicle. It's highly desirable for your brakes to dissipate heat as fast and efficiently as possible. Friction creates heat, therefore you need to dissipate that heat or things will become warped, malfunction, etc., etc. Disc brakes have an open design which makes it easier to dissipate heat because it's just natural air on top of that rotor and that pad. They're also self-adjusting and maintain proper adjustment at all times, while drums require initial shoe-to-drum clearance and periodic checks to make sure that everything is working correctly and nothing is broken, etc., etc. Now, drum rotors have a better ability of stopping more weight quicker than your disc brakes. Now, on to the differences in mechanisms. In hydraulic brake systems, all your power is coming from the pressure applied to a mechanism by a liquid, which is opposite of your air brakes, obviously used by air. The force is applied by a liquid to a piston in your master cylinder, which is connected to linkage. Each wheel has its own cylinder. Inside that cylinder are opposed pistons, which are connected to your brake shoes. When you press your pedal, linkage moves the pistons, which moves the liquid, which travels to each separate cylinder, applying your brakes. You've got your master cylinder. Your master cylinder is the piston that is basically the whole force, is what's moving your fluid to each, down the lines to each separate cylinder. Now, onto air brakes, it's a little bit more complex. Some people might argue that, but in my opinion, it's a little bit more complex. Your compressed air system is composed of an air compressor, a governor, and 2 reservoirs. Airline connects all of these for the systems to function. When you press the pedal, it operates a lever connected to the brake valve that measures the certain amount of air needed from your reservoirs to go to your front and rear brakes. The line going from your brake valve to your front axle goes to a component called a quick release valve, which directs air to your left and to your right front brake chambers. When you release the pedal, the air escapes from the brake chambers and your brakes are released. Another airline connects the brake valve to a relay valve. A second airline is what supplies reservoir air pressure to the relay valve. This valve allows air to move the rear brakes. So, like I said, a little bit more complex. Involves a lot of valves and your airlines. Emergency airlines, etc. Emergency brakes, usually a manual brake that is made to work when any component of your primary brake systems is broken and or malfunctioning. So, I want to get to showing you some basic components of an air brake system and a hydraulic system. So we'll get to that. Yeah, we will. We sure will. Alright, so if you look here, I have some basic components of a brake. This thing is completely taken off. It's just, basic as it gets. These right here are your drum rotor shoes. This is what is applied to the inside of your rotor, which causes friction, which causes your vehicle to stop. Now right here, this is your S-cam. This is what's going to be moving these two connecting rods to push your brake shoes out, which is connected to right here, your slack adjuster, and that's what's connected to your brake chamber by a connecting rod. When your brake chamber is applied, the rod is pushed out, the slack adjuster moves, which moves the S-cams, which moves your shoes, and that is what stops your car. And or truck. A basic, like a, I don't know what the fuck to call it. Here we have some basic components of an air brake system. So you've got your brake valve right here. This is a dual brake valve. Got lines coming here and here. These lines are connected to your spring brake valve, service brake relay valve, spring brake relay valve, all connected to your brake chambers, which, like I said, powered by a slack adjuster, your connecting rod, and your brake chamber. Here's your parking brake valve, your emergency brake valve. See the line goes all the way over here to spring brake relay valve. Just connected to your spring brake valve. Just connected to everything else to manually stop your car. And just wanted to show just some basic brake line shenanigans. Release the parking brake, and those connector rods come out. Air is released. Put the parking brake back on. Air is filled back up. Connecting rods go back in. Now, if we press on this brake, you will see these connecting rods come out. These air chambers are filled with air from this compressor right here, and then back to normal, back to resting mode. I did my best to find some brake calipers that's got some disc brakes. Here's your brake caliper right here. You can't see that well, but this is what stops your rotor right here in there, and that's what has your brake pads. It's what pushes with the fluid, is what pushes your brake pads against your rotor, and that's what's going to make your vehicle stop. Like I said, it's not the best view, but we've got an idea of what's going on here. Let me try and back up, see if we got a better view. Here's your caliper. Inside is your two shoes, your rotor, etc., etc.